So Gary, another week and another cup game, but looking back to last week, having had a chance to review that Enfield match, what learnings can we take away from it?
Learnings are that we need to start games a bit better, a bit quicker. Felt we didn't compete for long enough spells in the first sort of 20 minutes, which gave us not necessarily a mountain to climb, but it allowed them to get some momentum in it. So we need to do something with that, and we're looking at that and seeing what we can do to affect that. But the biggest thing is that probably the theme that we've had throughout the season, and that's that we need to take chances in games when we have them and when we get those big chances. I said at the time, and anybody that's seen the highlights since, 𝗍𝗿-𝗁 has a really good opportunity, hits the crossbar with it. I get in a split second. He has to shift and shoot the ball really quickly, and he does that. And like I said, hits the crossbar, and maybe it's a little bit unlucky, but I think the keeper in the end probably offers him a really good opportunity to slide the ball into the side, the side of the net. So, that coupled with the other chances that we have and opportunities within it, certainly in terms of in front of goal, 𝗍𝗏 has a really good chance. 𝗍𝗏 does really well to adjust his feet with a ball that goes over the top and dies on him a little bit. So he adjusts his feet, tries to lift it over the keeper, hits him in the face. In those three opportunities, if we do a little bit better with those, then we probably come away at least with a point. And then there was a couple of times where we had a couple of 2v1s as well. So it's just about making our work a little bit cleaner when we get those opportunities, maybe pausing for breath to make the most of those. But look, another game that we were really, really competitive in, and like I said, at the moment, on the right side of those results.
News from last week is that Dan Ellison signed and of course made his debut in that Enfield game, kind of a two-parter here, but what did you make of his debut? And also have Bristol Rovers allowed him to play in the FA Cup this weekend?
Yeah, so taking the first part, Dan was Dan. Dan was really, really good in both boxes. He was certainly good in our box, and we were glad of having three centre-halves on the day, really, because that is said, Enfield keep you honest throughout. They're very direct. They've got really, really good set-piece delivery. So, like I said, we started slowly and conceded too many corners and set pieces early on. So it meant that they got a bit of momentum, but they were able to put a lot of ball into the box, and Dan was one of those. And we did it pretty well as a team, actually, that dealt with a lot of ball that came in, and in the end it was probably sheer volume which undid us. He was really good. In terms of whether he's available for Saturday, yes, he is.
We go to Walton this weekend, another team towards the top of the league below us, similar to Gloucester from a couple of weekends ago. Are we expecting a similar test? Yeah,
we'll expect another tough game. I think they're top of their league. I think I said before, I've watched them a couple of times. I watched their playoff game last year, and we've seen them a couple of times this year. They've got some good players, possession-based side. They're really good at what they do, and as a club, they're trying to build the club from the ground up. I think they're a really good blueprint for clubs coming through, and I like what they do and how they play. So it'll be a real difficult game. Like I said, I'd like to think that we'll have some advantages within it. But only if we get our work right, in preparation for it. So look, I'm expecting a really difficult game, a tough game, but a game that gives us a real chance of progressing through, as they'll think as well, through to the fourth qualifying round.
And we've conceded a few goals kind of earlier in the games this season. What's been done to kind of counter that?
Well, I think I alluded to it earlier, Jamie. It's not necessarily conceding goals. I think it's just how we start games in general. I think this year we've only sort of started to become, competitive within games, either having been shocked into, or stirred into action from conceding, or, like I said, something unjust within the game, really. So it's almost as if we need a bit of a kick to get ourselves going. Because in the games where we have started, I'm going to say on the front foot, certainly, the Dorking game being one of them, even the Western game, I know we didn't, go on to win that, the Hampton game. We've got ourselves in front in games, and like I said, even at the 𝗍𝗏 game we started really, really well, and we're aggrieved not to have gone into that game in front at half time, having had a number of really, really good opportunities. So it's more a collective of how we start games, and as a whole, really. Look, we're looking at a couple of things and working with the group on how we address that.